In this video, we are going to graph linear equations. Here we have an equation that's already solved for y. It's very nice to make a chart or a table of your x and y values if it's already solved for y. We're going to make a little t-table to track some values or values for x and y that make this true. When it's this way, we can plug in x, simplify the other side, and that's what y will equal. So if we replace x with 0, then we can replace that in the right side of the equation. 1/3 times 0 minus 5, and we simplify that, and we get -5. Then we can replace the x with 3. -1/3 times 3 is -1 minus 5, which is -6. And then we can try -3. -1/3 times -3, and -1/3 times -3 minus 5. That's a negative times a negative. That's positive 1 minus 5. 1 minus 5 is -4. So I have 3 ordered pairs. I've got the ordered pair. Here, let's put it a little closer. 0, -5. I've got the ordered pair 3 and -6, and I've got the ordered pair -3, -4. You may have noticed that I chose values that worked out well. If you have a division by 3, then a multiple of 3 will work really nicely. So choose your points, your x values carefully. Sometimes in the homework they'll choose them for you, but if you're choosing them, choose them where the math is easier. Alright, then we're going to plot these over 0, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our first point. 0, -5. The next one is right 3, down 6. So about here. And the other one is down 3, or sorry, left 3, down 4. And if we've done our work right, they should look like they're in a straight line and can be connected with a straight edge. And that is our linear equation, and it's graphed. We can look at where it's crossing the x and y axis. When you have a graph paper, it helps. It looks like when we have an x-intercept of 0, -5, and a y-intercept of, that is a little more complicated. Y-intercept, you make, sorry, an x-intercept, we're looking for the x-intercept here where it crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So I hope I called this the y-intercept at 0, -5. And to find the x-intercept, we replace, and we're actually going to have some easier problems here. We replace the y with 0 and solve for x. Replace the y with 0 and we solve for x. So we're going to add 5. 5 equals -1/3 x. Multiply both sides by -3 to get rid of that fraction. So our x-intercept is at -15 over here. And the first assignment problems you have in your assignment won't have that. But that's how you would do it. To find the x-intercept, you would make y 0. And to find the y-intercept, you make x 0. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. Notice the y-intercept has an x value of 0, and the x-intercept has a It's not up or down at all, so it has a y value of 0. The next equation we're going to do is this equation, negative 20x minus 30y equals 60. And we will first find the x and y intercepts and then find out what y is if x is 1. These points are given to you already, so we're going to replace x with 0. Notice this negative 20 times 0 is 0, so we're really just left with solving this equation. Negative 30y equals 60. To solve that, we divide both sides by negative 30. And we get y equals negative 2. That is where it's going to cross the y-axis, where x is 0. Now, on the next one, it has the y value given of 0. Here we're going to have negative 30 times 0, so this is going to be a big old 0, so this whole guy goes away. So we have the negative 20x plus 0 equals 60. You don't have to write that. Just wrote it so you would know what happened with the y term. It became 0. We divide both sides by negative 20 to get that x by itself, and we get x equals negative 3. Oh, not there. X equals negative 3 when y is 0. And the last point, when x is 1, what is y? So I'm going to replace the x with 1, subtract 30y, that equals 60. Oops, we're running in there. That is negative 20 minus 30y equals 60. Add 20 to both sides to get rid of this negative 20. We have negative 3y equals 80. And we want to solve that. That y is hard to see. We divide both sides by negative 3. So y is 80. Oh, you see what I did there? That's not a negative 3y. It's a negative 30y. Hopefully you saw it before I did. You're wondering, what happened to that 10? What happened to that 0? There we go. So y equals, and that's the equals, positive divided by negative is negative 8/3. Okay, let's graph those points. We're going to write that negative 8/3 up here. That when x is 1, y is negative 8/3. I'm going to go over 0, down 2, and put a dot. Over 0, down 2, left 3, and up 0. Those are my x-intercepts and y-intercepts. This one is crossing the y-axis, so it's a y-intercept. This is an x-intercept. And we have over 1 and down 2 2/3. These are all graphed correctly. They should form a straight line, and that is our equation. That is our graph of the equation. And we have also found the x and y intercepts. Here we have a couple more problems to look at. The instructions say find the x and y intercept and then graph. When it's in this standard form, finding the x and y intercepts, as you saw, is not too bad, because when x is 0, to find the y-intercept, this 2 times 0 goes away. So we have the equation negative 3y equals negative 3. And we can divide both sides by negative 3, and we get y equals 1. So we have the point 0, 1. That is our y-intercept, over 0, up 1. That's our y-intercept. Okay, and to find the x-intercept, then y is 0. So 3 times 0 is 0. And what's left is 2x equals negative 3. And we divide both sides by 2. And we get x equals negative 3 over 2. So that is a y-intercept written as a point. So we go left 3.5, so that's 1.5, 3 halves. So left 1.5 and down or up 0. Once we have those 2 points, that is enough to draw a graph. So we just plot the first point and then plot the second point and connect them with a line. If you're doing that on Alex, you click on the first point and then you click in the second point, and then it will have the line perfect for you. The next question says x equals negative 3y. Find the x and y intercept if they exist, and then graph. And here is what that equation looks like. To find the x-intercept, we make y equals 0. So x equals negative 3 times 0, or just x equals 0. And to find the y-intercept, we make x equals 0. 0 equals negative 3y. Divide both sides by negative 3. 0 divided by negative 3 is 0. So y is 0. So for both of those, whether we're finding the y or x-intercept, we found the point 0, 0, which is called the origin. So when you have your xy axis, the center point where it's neither up nor down, left nor right, is called the origin. There you go. It's called the origin. It's the beginning. Just like Charles Darwin wrote a book called The Origin of Species. It's about the beginning. So it's the beginning of the graph. Now look, from the x and y intercept, we just got 1 point. We cannot draw a line from 1 point. So I'm going to solve this equation for y. I'm going to write it out. X equals negative 3y, because that is a technique for solving equations. Graphing equations is to solve them for y. So y equals negative 1/3 of x. So I divided both sides by negative 3. I interpreted this x as a 1x. And so this side became y, and this side was 1 over negative 3x. Oops, I lost my negative sign. Don't lose that. Did I already have a negative sign? These became positive, but then, yes, I should have a negative over here because I'm dividing by negative 3. 1 divided by negative 3 is negative 1/3. And then I just switched them around all in one step. So but just watch that. Well, we found out that if x is 0, then y was 0. So we can plug in another value for x. Let's see, if I choose something that's a multiple of 3, it will work well for me. So I'm going to do that. Make choices that work well for you. 3 times negative 1/3 is negative 1. So I go over to my graph and I go right 3 and down 1. 1, 2, 3, down 1. Now I have 2 points. I can do one more. If x is, I better choose wisely. If x is 6, negative 1/3 times 6, 6 divided by 3 is 2, that's a negative 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down 2. Again, they form a straight line, and we have our graph. That is graphing using x and y intercepts. If there's no constant term, then you might want to solve for y, plug in more values for x to graph your equation. On this equation, we say that the x-intercept is 0, 0, and we say the y-intercept is 0, 0.